missed my train. The taxi driver, how can I put it without venom, cocked up the pickup time, and so I missed my train back to Sheffield and then to Bakewell for the retreat. Certainly not the end of the world. It's happened before, and certainly to me it will happen again. But you know what that feeling's like. First of all, the panic, then the frustration, then the blame, then the self-loathing for cocking it up, because of course it ends up being my fault for not being clearer to the taxi driver or confirming it earlier. And then the aftermath is this processing of what on the surface is a big fail. I mean, missing a train's no big deal. It's the sense of not being in control, or the flip side of that coin is being a failure, not even being able to control your timely movements back. I need to get back to Bakewell for a retreat that starts this afternoon, but they'll just have to start without me, which is fine. Everybody knows what's what. But I just wanted to explore these feelings that so quickly and spontaneously arise when something goes wrong. I just look around me now at this beautiful garden centre garden and the beautiful flowers, some extraordinary sunflowers, and this is where I wish I knew the names of my flowers, and wood pigeons and magpies flying about, oblivious of course to the fact that I've missed my train. How could anything be wrong in nature? It just is. Why does the wood pigeon fly across the sky that way instead of that way? Completely oblivious to any rhyme or reason, of course. Why do the leaves rustle in a certain way? Why do the flowers bend? Well, of course in response to the breeze. But in human affairs, we seem to be obsessed, don't we, with intent, purpose, having an objective, getting somewhere, being someone. I'm reminded of Lily Tomlin's comment, I always wanted to be someone, but I should have been more specific. And at this time of life, for me, one has to hang up one's dancing shoes and say that whatever it was I thought I was going to be, it ain't necessarily turned out that way. And I guess surely this is most people's experience. There is this expectation gap between what we anticipated and what we eventually turn out to become. Maybe our plans were frustrated by chance, by accident, by other people, by being late, by ineptitude. But the script, certainly in our culture, is that if you have an objective or a dream, then it's possible to achieve it. So we do get wrapped up in this achievement culture. Every New Year's Eve or thereabouts, I like to write in my journal a review of the past year and my goals for the next year. And for 2019 I wrote, my aim for this year is to achieve nothing, and it's going well so far. This blank slate, this blank to-do list, I have no Gantt chart of success, and yet stuff happens. Life unfolds, things get done. It doesn't mean I'm idle. In fact, you know, I would suggest that having no demand of goals and achievements frees you up to fully inhabit the space that you live in. You've got more elbow room to notice things. You seem to be less grabbing and more observing, and everything seems to fall into place. I'll be interested to see how this missed train turns out. I'm quietly confident that there will be some as yet unseen benefit. Maybe I'll never know, of course. This might be a little bit of wishful thinking, but I'd be surprised if there wasn't some upside to missing the train. Well, maybe this is it. It gives me the opportunity to sit in this lovely garden. I think the coffee machine is nearly up to heat now, so I'll be having my first coffee of the day, and I get this hour where I can just sit, enjoy the flowers and the plants and the birds on this calm August day. Gosh, it's August already. And it comes to me the idea of just press record and make a little video. So why do we place so much weight on achievements in our achievement-oriented culture? Well, it seems to me that there are two pulls. Well, there's a push and a pull, perhaps, towards this idea of I must achieve. You simply need to ask the question, for whom? Achieve what? For whom? We are social animals. Some of us are antisocial animals, but we have a highly developed sense of the social and fitting in. We don't want to be misfits or outsiders mostly, and to fit in, to be approved of in our culture, mostly means being seen to be successful. Of course, many different definitions of success, but yes, to be approved of, to be worthy, I guess, of people's esteem in our society. One wants to be seen to be achieving something. So that's the outward facing sense of needing to achieve. Then there is also, of course, the inner drive, the personal motivation for achievement. There's a whole industry, the self-improvement or self-help industry, devoted to making us look better, feel better, perform better. be more humble better. Preen better, pray better. This is to make us feel good about ourselves, isn't it? As if there's some flaw, some chasm between who we take ourselves to be, or who we estimate ourselves to be, and some higher level of achievement that we have in our mind we should be. You know, I think two of the most debilitating words in living a sane or peaceful life are should and must. Whenever I find myself saying the should word, I now sort of have to stop myself. The other word is not must, by the way. It's oughts. The shoulds and oughts. It's almost like having an off-stage prompt, listening to the script of your life as it unfolds, and they keep butting in with a, you should be doing this, you should be better at that, you ought to be doing this, you ought to be doing that. If you looked at my, I've got two daily notebooks. One is my journal, which I've been keeping off and on for 30 years now, and the other is my workbook. If you saw my to-do lists, or ta-da lists, ta-da as I call them, all you would see is tick after tick after tick after tick. So I'm not an underachiever. I know what it takes to get things done, and I get many things done. But my end of term report to self always says, could do better. And this is an unkind headmaster. Don't know which school it's from. Don't know where it comes from. This magisterial, stern, strict headmaster. Now, of course, that sounds like my dad. Just even as I say it now, overseen and overwatched, as though trying to be caught out. So there's this almost constant background. It's like a black parrot with a hat on. What do you call those? A mortarboard hat. Black parrot with a mortarboard hat, keeping an eye on me all the time. My shoulds and my oughts. And giving me a hard time for the things that I've not done. So it seems to me the antidote to this shoulda, coulda, woulda, oughta mindset is to pull the plug on this black parrot on the shoulder with the mortarboard. Where does that voice, that self-critical voice, come from? Maybe not everybody has one. Maybe I'm the lucky one in this respect. It has to come from, of course, our conditioning as children and growing up, and then peer group pressure, in my case certainly, to fit in or to be approved of in the peer group. And this is a straitjacket, ultimately. Nobody knows anything. Most of what people's expectations of you are come from their own conditioning, the cultural influences. If you grew up in a different country, a different culture, the expectations and the achievement orientation would be different. When I first arrived in India, and I was in a taxi coming out of the airport, New Delhi airport, my heart sank as I saw a giant advertising hoarding by the motorway going out, and it showed a young professional Indian couple, but they were dressed in smart Western business clothes, and they had a gold watch on, and she had an expensive necklace or whatever. And my heart sank. I nearly wept in the taxi, because it seemed to me on my first visit to India that a whole culture had been hijacked by Western consumer values. We are very malleable. We are very easily influenced. If I think my next band, I'm going to call it Easily Swayed, as a tribute band to Suede. Because we are, well, I am. I just want your approval. I want you to like me. That's why I became a salesman, a computer salesman. But you're only ever as good as your today's sale, and then the day after it's forgotten, and you're back on the treadmill of the shoulds and the oughts of getting the next sale on the board. Well, it's time to stop this nonsense. I've just spent a most happy, cheerful, peaceful week with 2 dogs. Look, I was dog sitting for friends who were on holiday, and by the Suffolk coast. They went on holiday at the Suffolk coast. That's where their cottage is, with the most lovely garden. 6 o'clock walk with the dogs, so that the most lively one didn't tear the throat out of a passing rabbit, or another dog for that matter. And then I had this perfect freedom of the days ahead of me for a week in the countryside, mostly sunny, some overcast, where I could choose to do anything I wanted, truly. And what did I do? I worked on my laptop, mostly editing videos. Very enjoyable, very creative, and I achieved a lot, and everything seemed to flow nicely. And who was I doing it for? So it wasn't to please others. I could have made a holiday of the whole week. As it turned out, I gave myself permission to not do a thing on the Sunday, so I downed laptop on Sunday and just mooched in the garden and drank coffee and read, and I felt guilty. Of course I felt guilty for not doing anything, but really appreciated that time. And then the rest of the time I did work, but if the work has meaning, it doesn't seem like work. It seems like a gift. And editing these videos, which will be seen thousands, millions of times in aggregate by people in different countries, touching them and meeting their needs. These are John Butler's spiritual unfoldment YouTube videos. This gives me a tremendous sense of serving somebody else instead of my small little me agenda, and that's very pleasing. So I've decided to drop the agenda of achieving and create space for being, and being of service in a small way.